Another way of assessing is by making the patient sit with arm close to the side of the chest, with the elbow in extension and forearm in supination, and the fingers pointing towards the ground in full extension. In this position, hyperextension of the elbow can also be noted. From zero extension position, tell the patient to flex the elbow by bringing the palm towards the shoulder. Rotational movements. For checking the rotational movements, make the patient sit on the stool with arms by the side of the chest, with elbow in 90-degree flexion, forearm in mid-prone, with wrist in extension and fingers fully open or with a pen in hand. This is the zero position. So, this is the method to check for supination and pronation at the forearm. Measurement. 3 measurements have to be kept in the mind of an examiner: linear measurement, circumferential measurement, and the carrying angle. In linear measurement, check the distance from the lateral epicondyle to the tip of the olecranon, medial epicondyle to the tip of the olecranon, and the interepicondylar distance, comparing it with the corresponding measurements in the opposite elbow. Circumferential measurements measure the symmetrically aligned elbows at the interepicondylar line at the olecranon. For measurement of the muscular girth, measure the point equidistant from the tip of the olecranon towards the arm and the forearm. Measuring the carrying angle helps the examiner to find out valgus and varus deformities at the elbow joint. So for checking the carrying angle, one has to draw a line joining the midpoint of the interepicondylar line and to the interstyloid line at the wrist forms the mid-axis of the forearm. In a similar manner, the mid-axis of an arm is measured by a line drawn between the intercondylar line and the transverse line extending outwards from the anterior axillary fold towards the outermost bulge of the arm. These two mid-axes of arm and forearm intersect each other at the elbow joint to form the carrying angle of the elbow, which is normally 10 degree to 15 degree of valgus. Women have more carrying angle than men. If this angle is more at the affected side, it is called cubitus valgus deformity. If the carrying angle is less, it is called as cubitus varus deformity. Test for lateral epicondylitis. Lateral epicondylitis is an overuse syndrome because of repetitive injury over the wrist extensor region. Wringing test. Ask the patient to wring a towel. Pain will be felt at the lateral epicondyle. Chair test. Ask the patient to grasp the chair firmly and pressing onto the arm of the chair. Pain is experienced on the lateral epicondyle over the affected side. Cosen's test. Make a firm fist. Maintaining the position, keep the forearm in supination. Try to passively flex the wrist. Pain is experienced over the affected region. Jug test. Ask the patient to lift the jug full of water from its mouth. Pain is felt over the affected side. Mills maneuver. Keep the elbow firmly straight and wrist flexed. Pronation of the forearm initiates pain. rolling pin test or Dalen test. Trying to roll the dough for preparing round bread with firmly holding the rolling pin initiates pain at the lateral epicondyle or at the proximal part of the wrist extensors. Test for medial epicondylitis. This condition is also due to overuse or due to repetitive tension overloading the flexor pronator muscle at or near its origin. Resisted pronation and flexion of the wrist increases the stress on the medial epicondyle. Test for cubital tunnel syndrome. Prolonged flexion attitude at the elbow for more than 5 minutes precipitates ulnar nerve compression symptoms. Tunnel becomes tight. Elbow instability consists of varus, valgus and rotatory instability test, which will be told in detail further. Varus instability. Lateral collateral ligament consists of radial collateral ligament and the lateral ulnar collateral ligament. Elbow should be flexed approximately 30 degrees in order to unlock the olecranon from the fossa. This relaxes the anterior capsule also. Varus stress is then applied across the elbow joint with humerus in full internal rotation. If varus instability is present, gap between capitulum and radial head will increase. Valgus instability, commonly seen in throwing athletes, is split of the ulnar collateral ligament done better with patient seated. Forearm held securely between examinee's arm and trunk. Elbow is flexed in approximately 30 degrees and palpate the ulnar collateral ligament whilst a valgus stress. Local pain and tenderness are compatible. Milking or O'Brien test described by O'Brien. For incomplete tears of ulnar collateral ligament, hold the patient's thumb and fully flex the elbow whilst a valgus stress is applied to the elbow. Posterolateral rotatory instability results from insufficiency of lateral collateral ligaments. The most sensitive test for lateral collateral ligament insufficiency is lateral pivot shift test. Supine with the shoulder and elbow flexed to 90 degrees. Forearm is fully supinated. The examiner holds the patient's wrist and forearm and slowly extends the elbow while applying a valgus and axial compression force. This leads to rise of symptoms which gives rise to apprehension. Subluxation of radius and ulna from the humerus causes a prominence of the posterolaterally over the radial head and a dimple is seen between the radial head and the capitulum. Third, impingement test. Hyperextension of the elbow causes pain. Apprehension test. Rising from the chair using the arms to push them into the standing position may produce symptoms of instability. Since maneuver involves axial load, valgus and supination of forearm.